run together a couple of different pieces of content for you, trying to nerd out a little bit. I hope that's okay. Anyway, good morning to you. It is 8:03 on a Friday morning. It is May the 12th. I'm first warning meteorologist Eric Burris. Do we have a lot to talk about ahead today on Coffee Talk? First off, the Hurricane Center came out yesterday and said, we've begun. We'll be talking about that. Plus, we had some pretty good hailstorms yesterday. Let's chat about what we saw and could we see a repeat performance later today? All of that plus your 7-day forecast, including Mother's Day weekend forecast when I see you in a few minutes. But first, let's take a minute. That's good. That's good. A little coffee for you. All right, let's look outside. There is a beautiful shot, Lake Dora. Mainly clear skies over top of us. It is a beautiful start to the day. Rise and shine, my friends. First morning live Doppler radar showing some showers, even some thunder showers off the shoreline. And some of these little buggers are trying to get a little closer to us. Yeah, nothing bothering us for now, but we're watching. We're watching. Not a bad start. Let's talk about temperatures out the door. 75 degrees in Orlando. It's 74 degrees in Wildwood, about 75 degrees Daytona Beach, and 79 over in Melbourne. It's a little warm and a little muggy. Looking ahead to the day today, we'll watch those temperatures climb, though, won't we? 87 degrees 1 o'clock. It's 89 by 3 o'clock. And then we start to see those showers and those thunder showers bubbling on up. Yeah, 40% coverage of rain. So I think that it's going to be, once again, an opportunity to see plenty of showers and storm this afternoon. It looks like the colder air upstairs is not quite as low, which means maybe we'll have a little bit lower threat of hail. But that's certainly one of the pieces of the puzzle we'll be watching over the course of the day today. So that's a look at the 12-hour forecast for today. Let's look at first, let's just look around Central Florida and get an idea of high temperatures. I think that it's going to be just subtly milder. In other words, not quite as hot as yesterday. 89 degrees. That's our high temperature forecast in Orlando. 90 in Leesburg and Claremont. About 83, 84 degrees back over to the beaches for most of us, at least. It's going to be a pretty nice day. I mean, all said, pretty nice day. Let's dial up Futurecast. First thing, I always like to look at the initialization, and we see the rain off the East Coast. If I pause for a second, come back to our live radar, there's the rain off the East Coast. So I think that the model has a pretty good handle on what's going on, okay? So there's that. Giddy up. Let's move on, see what's doing, all right? And let's just put this into motion, all right? Through 1 o'clock, we're good. We're starting to see some of those showers and those thunder showers kind of bubbling around 4, 5, 6 o'clock out west, and then kind of firing up around 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock. If you live in Marion County, particularly western Marion County, may see some pretty good storms. Most of us are going to be nice and dry today, so there's that. Not bad. I didn't see any rain in my house really yesterday either, so if you didn't yesterday, such is life. Kind of same boat as I'm in. We'll hope for more. I had to put the hose in the pool and fill it up just a little bit yesterday, but we're almost to listen. We're almost to that summer weather pattern where we'll get those daily showers and thunder showers every single day. But there's a lot going on. For example, and I mentioned this on Twitter yesterday, the NCAA National Championship for tennis is taking place in Central Florida. Look at that. Not bad. Now, into the afternoon, we'll be watching the radar. I think most of the activity should be moving off to the west, so I don't think it's going to be an overall big concern for us, but there's something there, okay? All right, so when we look at the day ahead, it's a pretty nice forecast. Just have those showers in the metro kind of working out west, becoming bigger thunderstorms, okay? Now, it is a big weekend. It is, after all, Mother's Day weekend. Don't forget. All right, here's how we're looking. For your Saturday, we're going to up the rain chance just a little bit, 30% coverage. Sunday looks to trend a little bit drier. Warm and humid for sure, but not too bad. All right, so let's put this all together. Central Florida's certified most accurate 7-day forecast. We'll notice those rain chances a little higher for us tomorrow, then down for Mother's Day, down for Monday, and then back up. And if you were listening yesterday to Coffee Talk, and then this will be my last thought, then we can kind of chat a little bit and we can get into some of the other stuff like the tropics. But if you were listening yesterday to Coffee Talk, I had said, I think we'll probably end up seeing the rain chance rising on these drier days because it just seems like Mother Nature's wanting to fade us into that wet season pattern just a little bit. So we'll watch. We'll see how it plays out. Such is life. All right. Jennifer says, looking wet for the UF Vandy baseball game tomorrow evening. I mean, if it's at UF, the problem though is we didn't look at Futurecast for tomorrow, and thus we didn't see what was going on up in Alachua. But if you'd like Futurecast, let me dial that up for you. All right, so here's Futurecast for today. We already saw that. Ooh, oh, interesting. See, didn't even go far enough through. Watch how those showers kind of start to spread back through, right? Like, so we may be sleeping tonight, enjoying a little bit of rainfall around the area. Late night rain. Ooh, I wouldn't mind that. 2:30 a.m., a little bit of tapering rain around. Not the worst thing in the world. All right, here's your Saturday forecast. I'll bring it full screen for you so that you've got the clearest view possible. All right, 2:30, 3 o'clock, showers, storms bubbling up. And then kind of the sea breeze collision, 5:30, 6 o'clock. More activity in our western areas based on this model run. And I know that this has come in since Kellyanne put her forecast together. So I would be curious if Cam at noon today ups the rain coverage for tomorrow, because I think that that's more of like a 40% coverage for tomorrow. But again, new model data has come in since Kellyanne's put her forecast package together. But going back to the Vandy game, I don't know what time that game is, but you can see 6:30, 7 o'clock for tomorrow. There is rain in Alachua County. And then looking ahead to Mother's Day, okay, drier, a couple of showers. Definitely trending a little bit drier, okay? So that's kind of where we're at in terms of the forecast for Mother's Day. Why do you only do this on the 7-day? It's so interesting how this works. It only gets glitchy on the 7-day. All right, so that's kind of where we're at. Sunday looks a little drier. Monday looks a little drier, and then we kind of dial the rain chances back up just a little bit. Terry says, all that noise yesterday afternoon here, but no rain. Most of Dunellen had just a sprinkle. Interesting. Yeah, it kind of formed just a little east of you, but west of me. So everybody like everybody that I've ever met in Winter Garden, for example, was talking about the big thunderstorms that they got, which totally makes sense. They got those storms. I did not. Yeah. All right. Enough of the local forecast for a minute. Any questions, comments, concerns? Do you have anything? Yesterday had some storms. Today we'll have some storms. Overall severity of the storms today should be a little bit less, right? Oh, well, I mean, we can look at the overall pattern, all right? So we've got, again, stormy activity today working out west, kind of starting to see just some showers and storms around for tomorrow, and then drier air in place for our Mother's Day and our Tuesdays. There's a weak front. Notice that front's not moving through, though. It's just kind of trailing. You see it there? Right there? See that bugger? Yeah. We're starting to look more and more like a wet season weather pattern. Interesting. It's all, look, at the end of the day, it's all interesting stuff. I always loved talking about stuff like this. Yeah. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, we can move on. Anything? I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Okay. All right, enough of that for a moment. Let's chat a little bit of tropics. Now, if you watched the afternoon coffee talk yesterday, then you're fully aware of what I'm about to show you. Let me show you the overall map. Okay, this is the overall map, the hurricane season scorecard. What? Why does that say that we've already had one tropical or subtropical storm? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. The National Hurricane Center yesterday came out and said during the month of January, during the month of January, a subtropical storm formed off the northeast coast. There you go. There's a shot. That's from January 16th. And if you recall, we were discussing when this had formed, we were like, that looks awful tropical in nature. We were discussing it ad nauseum in its moment. And there you go. Let me zoom in a little bit on it. I mean, that's kind of interesting to see, isn't it? Yeah. There's you can kind of see Long Island, New Jersey. So it's up in the North Atlantic. And it's a very uniquity in that you just don't see this kind of stuff happening during the month of January. That's a particularly unique little situation. So there it is. One of those really interesting features. Yeah. And because of that, the Hurricane Center, in their typical post-processing, and they always do that, but in their typical post-processing, they went in and said, yep, it was named. Now, there's a bunch of nerd stuff to go along with this. So let's just dissect some of this nerd stuff, okay? Formed mid-January off the northeast coast. We just looked at it. It's the first tropical system of this year. But because it formed and they didn't give it a name in that moment, they're not going to go back and call it Arlene. Why not? Because what would happen is, what happens if there's a storm that formed during the season, in the middle of the season, and that after the season they go back and see, oh, that should have been Bob. Well, they're not going to go back and name it. So it'll just be no name storm from January. Just like if there was an August storm that they missed, they can go back and say no name storm in July, or whatever the case may be, right? So it does not get a name, but it counts as a named storm system. Are you following? Tell me if you're confused. All right, so they're not going to give it a name, but it counts as a named storm system. So the next name on the list still is Arlene, the first. So that's what's kind of funny is the second named storm of the year will end up being Arlene this year, just as one of those things. So we've had one named storm, which means we get to start tallying up the statistics. I texted Kellyanne and I was like, don't judge me because I've started updating all the tropical climographics. All right, so we're not in hurricane season yet, but here we go. We've had one named storm. Last year through today, we had 0 named storms. And through today, the 30-year average is to have 0.2 named storms. So yes, we are above average in that department. When it comes to ACE, the accumulated cyclonic energy that takes into account how long a storm lasts, how big a storm is, et cetera, we have accumulated for this season already 2.2 ACE points. The 30-year average through today is 0.6 ACE points. So that's interesting. And then last but not least, because we like nerd data here, there have been 2.25 named storm days in 2023. The 30-year average, 0.6 named storm days through today. So yes, there's your statistics when it comes to hurricane season 2023, which started in January, but officially doesn't start for another 20 days. And just so that we're on the same page, no development is expected over the next 7 days' time. Okay. Yukon, did you have to redo the long-range forecast? No, I don't have to redo. I will say, though, when we look at the long-range forecast, okay, that storm in particular made me second-guess something. So we've got, just so that everybody knows, so we've got our landfall hotspots, okay? But we did also include other areas of interest, and that subtropical storm did pique my interest. It's not a hot spot, but it's an area of interest, the northeastern United States. Because of that storm system in January, I remember having conversations with Jeremy Nelson saying, that's interesting. So that's why we included the northeastern United States as an other area of interest. That's published if you head over to, and you're going to make me do it, aren't you? All right, hold on a second. When I go off of the weather computer and go on to like other pages, it sometimes takes a few seconds. wesh.com/hurricane forecast. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just get that popped up. Okay, all right. So this is the hurricane forecast web article. There's the hot spots. There's the da-da-da-da-da. All right. There's that area of interest. So, yeah. We did include that. No, I don't want to get emails. Believe me, I already get enough daggone emails from Wesh, like one every 3 minutes during the day. So that's one of the reasons that we did include the northeastern United States as an area of interest back on March the 1st. Totally independent of anything else, and totally independent of the Hurricane Center upgrading this thing, was knowing that it was something. Knowing that it was, if nothing else, even if it wasn't official, it was an interesting little goober. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. Chris, please discuss how ACE number changes with the strength of the storms. Okay, so when we talk about ACE, let me pull up the ACE. Think of it as a raw score sheet. There's so many ways that we can look up tropical stuff. So ACE, accumulated cyclonic energy. Think of it as a tropical depression develops, and it generates like this much ACE points per hour. Then it becomes a hurricane. And then it develops this many ACE points per hour. And then it's a major hurricane, and it develops this many ACE points per hour. So it's a direct measurement of the cyclonic energy. The bigger the storm is, the more ACE points it generates at a time. The longer a storm lasts, the more ACE points we get in general. So does that make sense? Think of it as like, think of it as that, just a raw energy, cyclonic energy scorecard, and that's it. So anyway, just, I always love putting together all this nerd stuff, but I always like to put a bow on it with the whole idea of like, at least for now, my friends, there is no development over the next 7 days' time. Okay? All right, Rosebud, where is the Carolina storm? Oh, so we're going to get into that. All right. Shall we look at the model data then? Okay, so hurricane season is still, I'll pop up the calendar just so that we're all together on this, okay? Hurricane season is still 20 days away. But if you follow me for any period of time, you know that I love doing long-range forecasting, okay? And part of my long-range forecasting is highlighting areas of interest and highlighting kind of when those areas of interest may get weather. So here we are. It is the 12th. And over the next about, starting tomorrow through next week, I've got in my hurricane forecast that we're watching a Carolina coastal storm system. Doesn't mean that Carolinas are going to get a hurricane. It just means we're going to see a storm system develop that fits that part of the pattern. It's up to Mother Nature to take it and run with it, okay? Then after that, you notice we've got a Florida storm system and a Florida storm system. Okay, again, it's early. We're not in hurricane season, but I do think we're going to see little pieces of lowered pressure in those windows. So let's take a look at the GFS. I've not looked at this yet, so don't tease if I see something and I'm like, interesting, because I haven't looked at this yet. Kathleen says, you're amazing. We love and cherish you. Oh, thank you very much, my love. Look, I am what I am, good or bad, Yukon says, I can't focus anymore, so have a great day. Everything okay, Yukon? I'm sorry. All right. Okay. All right. Let's roll through time. Sunday, Monday, high pressure. Okay, so what do we do? If you're new to Coffee Talk, this is something we look at during hurricane season, and obviously we're going to start a little early this year. This is raw GFS data looking at pressure anomalies. The oranges that you're seeing there, think of that as like nice weather. That's higher pressure. Okay, that blue, that's like lowered pressure. And right there, you've got like a little piece of energy coming off the coast of the Carolinas. You see that right there near the 70-degree north sign, kind of top center. Yeah, so a little piece of energy there. Some lowered pressure around Florida in that same time frame. An old frontal boundary, no doubt. And then there's another kind of coastal Carolina thing. And then we get into the following week, and there's some lowered pressure around Florida. Oh, look at that little goober there. See that around Friday, around the Carolinas? That's interesting. Have to wait and see how that plays out. Let's go back one GFS run back. I haven't looked at this either. Bottom line, what I'm seeing is that the GFS is wanting to try and do something in these next couple of weeks. There's old front, low pressure hanging around Florida, Carolina, low pressure around Florida. Yeah, and then low pressure off the East Coast. All right, let's do this. Let's switch over to the European ensemble. And I use the control member just because it'll go out further. Low pressure out in the open Atlantic. Old frontal boundary. Old frontal boundaries during the month of May love developing weak tropical features, and they love kickstarting the rainy season. So, according to this, next week, we could be firing up the rainy season or a tropical thingy. Low pressure around Florida. Kind of looks a little bit like Nicole, frankly. Yeah, so interesting stuff. Nothing overwhelmingly interesting, but, a remander that these old fronts just love firing up rainy season, and they love firing up weak tropical features during the month of May. So we'll watch it. We will. We'll keep tabs and keep you updated. That's what's fun about Coffee Talk is we have like several opportunities during the day to look at all the data together and see how it plays out. Yeah. So anyway, you can see it looks like a wet season pattern. Yukon is in the hospital awaiting cardiac tests to determine what's going on with health. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I am so sorry to see that, Nikki. Nikki, thank you for letting me know. Oh my gosh, definitely going to be sending good vibes. Take it easy, Yukon, for goodness sake. Yeah. All right, so that's where we're at. Okay, now questions. I've not been reading your comments much because I've been just yentering it up. And for that, I apologize. But questions, comments, concerns, please. Why don't I have closed captioning? I think Facebook does it, Rosebud. I think maybe YouTube does it after it's live. I don't know. I don't have a budget for Coffee Talk, so I don't have a stenographer sitting there doing that. I do know that Facebook does it in real time, but Rosebud, you're watching on YouTube, and I don't know that YouTube does it in real time, but if you were to watch it later, I would imagine that it would be there. I think. Yeah. Mick says, I need a coffee IV. I feel you there. Linda's asking about humidity beachside. Listen, Linda, the muggy meter has absolutely gotten into the humid territory. It feels like summer, doesn't it? I'm trying to look for the muggy meter because I saw Kellyanne using it today. Here it is. Yeah, the muggy meter has definitely gone back humid. This is summer humidity. It may not be like full blast summer humidity, but yeah. We're getting there. Frank says YouTube does have live captioning. Yeah, so I don't know. I apologize. But I do know Facebook has live captioning. I've only ever seen it on Facebook Live, but let's see. Let me go over to YouTube and check it out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's there, you should be able to. All right, I'm loading it up. All right. Yeah, I don't see. It says subtitles and closed captioning unavailable. So yeah, I don't know why that's the case on YouTube, and maybe that's just a today thing. I don't know. I can tell you though, YouTube should have it after the fact, but Facebook definitely does it live. It's not perfect, but neither am I. Yeah. All right. Other questions, comments, concerns? See ya, Millie. Let's see here. I'm a native and was hoping no. How does this affect hurricane season because of the January storm? Above average? Mary, our forecast is already out. It's funny. Somebody like Chris yesterday was like, well, maybe this is going to help Eric get his forecast number. And I'm like, well, I fully believe my forecast number. That's why I forecasted it. So here's the forecast numbers as they stand right now. Okay. WESH is calling for 14 to 18 named storms, 7 to 9 hurricanes, and 2 to 4 major hurricanes. WESH is in this right column. Next to it, Colorado State University, 13. So if the average is 14, Colorado State put out a slightly below average season, whereas WESH said at or slightly above average. I will add that in talking to Phil Klotzbach at the Governor's Hurricane Conference, he said he may need to up his numbers. I think we're fine. I was talking to Jeremy Nelson. I think we're fine. I'm not touching. I had no plans on touching our numbers, but I think our numbers are just fine. So, does this storm help my numbers? Well, sure. Every storm that develops helps our numbers. But I think I'm fully comfortable in where my numbers are. Cindy says this is my first Florida rainy season. Got here in September from Colorado, where rain every day is unheard of. I, for one, am really excited about rainy season. Cindy, let me tell you a couple things as a new resident. First off, the reason we do things like impact days and alert days in the wintertime, okay, I'll show you. The reason that we do these little triangle deals in the wintertime is because it's during the winter and the spring that things can get a little feistier. In other words, hail can be bigger, tornadoes can be more powerful. In the summertime, you're not going to see these icons unless a hurricane is coming, essentially. So just so that you know, there's a method to our madness. Number 2, Florida's going to Florida. Okay, Cindy, you're going to get some nasty storms every day. We as Floridians are used to it. Okay? You're going to get used to it. Number 3, it gets hot as hell out there. Like, you're going to say to yourself, how do people live like this? You'll be okay. That's why God invented cold showers or a swimming pool. I don't think it was God, but you get the idea, right? It's not going to be fun. There are going to be days where you're going to have to change your clothes because you soaked yourself sweaty. Or maybe that's just a me thing because I'm a sweaty mess, but it's just like, wow. And then there's the hurricane thing. And I need you to know this. Hurricanes are a part of life. There's going to be times where Florida's going to be in a cone and you're going to get scared, particularly if you're a new resident of Florida. It's okay. These houses are built because people weather storms. They don't just evacuate for the hurricane season. There's going to be a time where you're scared to death. I'm going to be here for you. Tony's going to be here for you. We're all going to be here for you, okay? Don't be scared. Be prepared, okay? We'll take every storm together. I can tell you as a new Floridian, you're going to get scared when it comes to hurricanes because it's the unknown. Just ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question when it comes to your safety. I always joke and say, I'll get the same question 1,000 times over, and I'll answer it as best I can 1,000 times over. But just know we're going to be here. These Facebook Lives, listen, I do the Facebook Lives pretty constantly when we're under threat of storms, and I post model data. I'm going to really focus on doing a better job of giving context, but I need you to know we're going to be here with you, all right? And a lot of these people that are in this room have been through many, many seasons. So they're going to be a good reference as well. Chris says Eric trolled me yesterday. You trolled me! Oh, man. Patrick, sorry to go back, but did the January storm have snow around it or a tropical storm too warm? It was like a nor'easter, so it on the west side could have generated snow, yeah. Any guess on how much rain for the rainy season? That I'm not. Yeah, that's outside of the forecast. A lot. Hopefully a lot. Yeah. Carla says, don't touch your numbers. Not touching my numbers. Not touching my numbers. All right. Let's see here. My 10-year-old and Hubs are super sweaty messes. Yeah, I get it. Rosebud says, and it's true, you get used to the heat after a couple of years. I mean, it doesn't stink any less. But yeah, that's why we have the pool. That's why we all of that. Yeah. Let's see here. Taylor says you'll be arguing with Shrek whose swamp is in your pants. It's going to be hot. Take the hottest shower you can, then get dressed without drying off. Sums up the Florida heat. Oh, yeah, that's actually disgusting, but true. Take a hottest shower and then don't dry off. Just throw the clothes on. Yeah. Kimberly says liquor and canned goods and water and you'll be okay. That's one way to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, just have your supplies. And while we're entering it up, I'll pop up the 7-day forecast. But, at the end of the day, just have supplies. Believe me, I will be tweeting and Facebooking like a crazy person. Yeah. April says, Eric, you did a great job getting us as new residents through our first 2 hurricanes last year. You're awesome. Thank you, April. It's one thing to earn your trust. It's another to keep it. I will always work hard. I always tell everybody, I may not be the best looking. I may not be the smartest, but I'll work the hardest. So I'll do every bit I can to keep your trust, you and your family. So thank you very much, April. That truly means the world to me. I'm not just saying that. That is why I got into doing the weather, truthfully. Nikki says, but I'll take our summers over anyone else's winters every single time. And I think that's why we live here, because you can get in the pool and cool down. And yeah, hurricanes stink. They're a pain in the neck. But it ain't snow. Linda says, yes, last year was my first and Eric was my guiding light. Thank you. Raven, you've unseated my former favorite meteorologist. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not out to this isn't a popularity thing, and you can still trust your other meteorologists and all of that, but I swear I will work hard. I swear I'll work hard for you. Thanks, Eric. Love your updates. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there this weekend. Off to see elephants before the storms. To see elephant. Are you going to the zoo or is that like another thing, Jeannie? Oh man. When it comes to weather, you are the only one I can and will trust. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you. So nothing going on right now. That's the good news. The tropics are quiet. But I do think the second half of May, we're probably going to start having some things to watch. Yeah. Do you want to talk about showing the National Hurricane Center cone versus effects? Yeah, we can do that. Gosh, where do I even begin? Okay, so in talking to Deputy Director Jamie Rome from the National Hurricane Center, one of the things that he discussed was, let's see here. One of the things that he discussed was how the cone only does the job of showing where the center of circulation could go. I'm just trying to look because I don't know if I have. I just don't know that I have these graphics at the ready. I don't have these graphics at the ready because we kind of update them and then they purge out. But one of the things that Jamie Rome was discussing in how we can work forward during hurricane coverage as kind of a not just WESH, certainly, but like as a conglomerate of emergency managers, television meteorologists, etc. It's showing the cone with perspective, and I did that during last year's coverage with Ian as saying like left side and right side of the cone have an equal chance, and I know we do that during Coffee Talk, but also showing like rip current risk, storm surge risk, flooding risk, and so we all do the best we can in trying to communicate that. So, Chris, it hasn't changed. The cone hasn't changed in that respect. The percentage is still the same. So, yeah, so it's just, when we get into hurricane coverage, we're going to do our very best to not just show a cone, which we don't only do, but to show what the cone means for impacts. Because what he mentioned was that during Ian, when they issued storm surge watches and warnings, those never moved. So like the people that got hit with the storm surge are like, we were on the edge of the cone. And his perspective is, you were under a storm surge warning the whole time. We never shifted those. And so that plays in when it comes to hurricane forecasting, is you have to understand what your individual impacts are. And as they say, hurricanes, tropical systems, these types of devastating weather makers are local events. And that's why, yeah, there's things like the Weather Channel, etc. But like, I live in your neighborhood, right? Like Tony lives in we live in your neighborhood. Kellyanne lives in your neighborhood. So we have to remember that. Chris, will there be more of an emphasis on storm surge cone versus wind effects? No, we're going to break everything down. The storm surge will be a coastal influence. Wind effects will be inland influence. Freshwater flooding or inland flooding will be inland influences. So yeah. So I think we do a great job, but I think that we need to continue that, and we certainly will be continuing that. All right. That's what I got for you. It's 8:41. We did our thing. I've got so many honey-do list things today, it's like not even funny, including maybe mowing the grass. I don't know. I could get away with it for another week, maybe. I probably should mow. Yeah. All right. That's what I got. Brian. Eric, by chance, can you tell us which tropical storms and hurricanes form during El Nino seasons and La Nina season? That is such, Brian, you always ask these like very broad questions, and sometimes I'm able to answer them off the cuff, and sometimes I can't. Andrew was an El Nino storm. Category 5, went into South Florida, did historic damage, changed building codes as we know them. So yeah, that list is just there's a lot of research that goes into it. And off the cuff, I'm only so smart. Like I don't prepare for Coffee Talk more than just kind of looking at a little bit of data. So off the cuff up here, there's a lot of stuff rattling around up here. But think about it. Every year is essentially an El Nino or La Nina, so you're getting one or the other. All right, enough. I'm going to go mow the yard and all that other stuff. All right? Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I will see you guys and gals at 3:30 today for more Coffee Talk. Sound good? Sound good.